All right, day's here. Just joking with Jeff. He says, man, it feels like this has been over a year in the making, and it truly has. So we're all pretty excited. We're just loading gear up, crew's coming in, getting cameras and everything all geared in. Sails are all down below. Crew's getting all settled, picking out their best spots on the boat. So it's been a lot of work getting to this point. A lot of effort's gone into it, and now the day's here, and we got about 2 hours till we're gonna be starting this thing off. So we're excited.
I am very excited. I think it's gonna be good. The forecast looks great. I think we couldn't have asked for better weather, especially sailing today versus yesterday, so it doesn't look like there's any rain or thunderstorms in the forecast, so we're good to go.
I think we're gonna put the pedal to the metal and not let up till we get to Newport. About time, showtime. It's like a long journey with a long list of things to do, and finally here, so just super excited to get this thing going. I think everybody on board is completely psyched. I don't know what to say. Good weather, good people, good boat. It's gonna be fun.
Plan is we're gonna go that way, we're gonna turn left and left again and end up way over there.
It's looking a little challenging to get down the bay, but I think that's where the race is going to be, so we've got to push hard into the night, and there's a potential for a little bit more build than we were anticipating the other day. All the forecasts have typically come together, so it's looking quite good. Should be a great race, great team.
Couple of hours into the race now. We had a good start, got off the start line clean. That was what was important to us. Managed to get away. It's been some funny shifts. We got out off to the eastern shore by Blood Point, and then took a hitch back over to the west, which didn't really work out. We hit some adverse current, so we've worked our way back over to the eastern shore now. We're right by Poplar Island, but a couple of hours in, so far so good, no issues.
So we had a great start for Annapolis and Newport. You know, the 1398 was doing fantastic. It was an upwind start, so we had a jib going in the main. The whole crew on a rail, beautiful day.
We knew that that first day was going to be very important. We knew that we wanted to get ourselves established in the front group, and I thought we did that reasonably well.
Kind of a light southerly at the start. We were, basically 120 miles into the wind, upwind the whole way down. Very tight competition, crossing tacks with Running Tide and the other boats. It was, it was a great way to start the race.
We were keeping up with a lot of the faster boats in the ORC class. Far 40s, which are just one design racing boats with very, very Spartan interiors. Some J boats, some of the other larger boats out there. So it's good to see us in company out there, especially the far 40s as we came through the end of the first day. Were definitely giving us some looks because we were in an attacking duel with them, and they're looking over us with a teak deck and serving dinner on the rail and hot food and that kind of thing. And it was really just a sight to see them looking over at us like, oh wow, they're up here playing with us. Pretty amazing.
As the evening came along, we'd made up some really good ground on a couple of the boats that punched out in front. We actually got past them. A couple of the rivals that we sort of focused on as being benchmarks for us, at least to see how well we were doing, and we managed to get past them. So we felt pretty comfortable going into the first night. But as the evening came along, we got a little fixated. I felt that the eastern shore wasn't as favorable as we thought it might be, but we dug in pretty deep. And at around about 10 or 11 o'clock on that first night, we lost a little bit of ground.
Definitely slowed down a little bit there.
It isn't the end of the world. We've got a long way to go, but it was a good reality check. We've got to keep sailing our own race and doing what we feel is best and not get too sucked into what the rest of the guys were doing. So we had a little powwow about that. I think specifically myself and Jeff spoke about it, and we decided that the best thing for us to do was sail our own race and focus upon that.
Right now it's 5 in the morning. We've passed the incoming ship traffic to Baltimore, and now we're just dealing with some anchored ships. The breeze has lightened up a little bit. It's blowing about 9 knots right now, which is to be expected as the sun comes up. We're about 16 miles from the Bay Bridge Tunnel, and we've made up a lot of ground. A bit earlier in the evening, we were a little bit behind some people. We've caught up to them and actually passed some people, so we're in a really good spot now for exiting the bay and getting out into the ocean. I was getting down around Cape Charles, which is a large anchorage in the southern part of the bay. So as we get down around that area, we actually had to do some maneuvering to get around some ships that were anchored. The channel there gets very, very thin, so there were ships moving in and out, and then also a lot of ships there to anchor. So we had a great time passing by one ship, probably within 6 boat lengths, all lit up. It was anchored there. It was a really cool sight to see. And the breeze has started getting a bit lighter. Coming down towards the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, the Bay Bridge Tunnel spans the entire mouth of the bay. It's 20-some miles across right there. And the bridge crosses most of it above the water, and it only dips down in a couple of spots in some channels there. And the entire fleet has to go between one of these channels. So the fleet is now spread out across 20 miles of Chesapeake Bay, now has to all recondense into this point.
We had a bit of a shocker this morning. It's hard to really explain how we got to it, but very early this morning at sunrise, I think I was saying that we were in a great spot, and we were. And we just missed a couple of shifts, and a couple of the competitors got out of the bay pretty clean, and we got out pretty messy.
We were right at the bottom of the bay at that point, and we knew that that was a difficult section of the race. And we, for whatever the reason, we wanted to stay on that eastern shore even more, and it was a mistake, and we shouldn't have done it. And whatever the reasons were that we did it, we had laid our bed, and it was a bad one. We parked up about a mile or two from the bay exit, and it took us hours to get out of there.
You know, obviously could have done that better, but that's yacht racing. You know, you've got to make a decision based on, I mean, gut instinct's a huge part of it. The conditions that you see right now, the conditions you think are going to be happening a little bit. You know, the forecast said there was going to be more breeze in an hour. It didn't happen. You know, we knew the current was going to start going out. You know, it's a numbers game, it's gut instinct, it's experience. You know, you got to be able to pick your battles here and there. But you know, we decided we'd do that. Okay, you know, in hindsight, if we had to make the same decision, you know, would we make the other one? I don't know. You know, you got to use what's at your fingertips.
It was frustrating, especially after all of the hard work that we'd done through the night and all the good stuff that we'd done to kind of end up in that spot was tough to take, and it's not really demoralizing because, again, you've still got lots of time, but you know it's a key point of the race, and 2 of your competitors or 3 of your competitors have escaped the bay, and they're gone, and you're sitting still, completely parked up. In 1 hour, they're 6 miles in front when they were behind you, you know, a couple of hours before.
So we're out of the Chesapeake Bay. Took a long time. Wind was light, shifty. It was brutal, but we're out, heading to Chesapeake Light now. Still very light winds. We have about 5.5 knots of wind.
Real quick rundown of the plan.
The plan is to catch up.
We're doing halfway house.
positive side of things is that as this breeze is freshening, you've got to be fairly pragmatic. Boats are quite far in front of us, but in terms of time, when we all turn the corner and start rumbling along at 8, 9, 10 knots, you know, the time of it becomes a little bit condensed. So we've got a busy afternoon to work hard and sail the boat well, and then another hectic night this evening and just continue to press. You know, it just is never over, and we're still in the hunt. We're certainly in the hunt for a podium, so if we sail well, you know, hopefully we can get to that.
We bore away on the Chesapeake Light right there, and we hoisted the A2 spinnaker. A2 spinnaker is the largest spinnaker we have on the boat. It's a runner, so it's a sail designed to go downwind, almost straight downwind, and just, you know, keep the boat moving as fast as possible on that point of breeze.
And off we trundled up north, feeling really good. You know, it was very much a procession up the eastern shore. We had boats around us, and that we were able to gauge our own performance, and we were doing great.
That next morning is when things started to get very interesting. It got foggy. And by foggy, I mean you couldn't see things more than maybe half a mile away from the boat. We couldn't see other boats. Once in a while, we saw, you know, a sail come out of the mist or whatever. It's something that happens this time of year. We didn't expect it to last for this amount of time, though.
I mean, it was the thickest fog you could imagine. I mean, you couldn't see 10 feet in front of the bow. And, you know, at one point, we'd catch like glimpses of a boat on the fog, and then they disappear, and it was kind of a surreal and eerie experience.
With the fog, you're really conscious of fishing boats and everything else that's sitting out there.
I mean, on more than one occasion, you know, we'd be screaming along, and we'd get a quick AIS target up and crap, they're like literally right over our shoulder screaming at us. And there was more than one occasion we had to scramble up and get out of the way of some fishing boats who just, they didn't care. They're gonna plow us over. So Eric definitely had to be sharp on the navigation, keep an eye on AIS in that fog.
Hey. Hello. So we're on our way to the grand finish. We got about 82 nautical miles left to the finish, and it is a drag race. We have the FARs, we've got the J133, XP44, I think, and then the Mystery Running Tide somewhere out there ahead of us. It's going to be a photo finish.
So coming into the final night, as we were approaching Block Island, it's notorious. It really is the third part of the race. You're so close to finishing, but so many different things can happen. You've got tidal currents to consider. You've got the wind, which was building at the time. You've got when to kind of turn left to go towards the finish. And you see boats around you, not visibly, because we still had this fog with us. You couldn't see them, but you can see them on AIS. And you know, the people start making their move, right? So you see a boat behind you, and he jibes and he moves off to the left, and you think, should we go? Should we stand on?
We're going to become, you know, we have been getting headed. We just started getting headed here.
What's on over there?
We're still heading at 60, 67.
So what's the wind number?
215.
We're actually lifted.
Maybe 20 miles from Block Island, we were on Rumline, and we were starting to have some really serious discussions on where do we go to make this work, because we could see other boats had gotten closer to Block and had slowed down a lot. We could see boats that were way far east that were going a bit faster, but we knew it would take much more distance to get that far. Our VMG, our velocity may go to be so much lower, we would probably lose ground, especially on the guys inside of us if they got a vein of pressure.
So we just got to sail this course, and we sail.
It's Sango straight.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good. 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 What we got for traffic on the?
Oh, there's a shitload of traffic all over the west right now. There's like 10 boats all around us. Well, it's going to give me their distance. You know, it's going to be basically the crux in the middle. They're 3.5 to 4 miles away, and we're just hitting the third needle.
Right.
Okay. So I'm just going to yell it up and say, "Hey, this is what's going on."
Yeah.
So we were sort of putting in a couple of jibes, working towards Block Island, and it wasn't really working out. It was probably around about midnight on that last night. We decided to break away from the group again, and we went pretty hard right on the race course. So we did that. We kind of trundled off on starboard jibe there for another hour or so, maybe a little bit longer. We got some good separation. So we were doing probably around about 10 knots, I guess. So we've got some good separation from the rest of the group. And by the time we jibed, it clearly had paid off.
Nice job, brother.
Yeah, dude.
Nice job.
Teddy, well done, man.
Nice job, bud.
Congratulations.
Nice job.
Getting third place in the first race with Artemis offshore is exciting. I mean, it's always nice to be on the podium. And it was tight. I mean, if you look at the results, I mean, just a few minutes here and there, it could have changed our position to be 4th, 5th, or 6th. So, I mean, it's amazing when you have a race that lasts 2.5 days and boats are within minutes of each other or seconds of each other. There's some classes, top 3 boats were only 45 seconds apart. I mean, that's nuts, you know? You just figured, oh, I messed up 2 tacks, or I shouldn't have done that, and it cost some of those guys, first place.
We were leading the fleet, we were in the back of the fleet, and then clawing our way back to a podium finish. I mean, it felt good, It wasn't a first place finish, but it was a well fought for podium, and it was a lot of fun to do.